If I ask you the most powerful part of the body, you'll probably say is the brain. The brain is the engine of the human being, just like if I asked you the most powerful part of a car, you probably say the engine, because that's where all the power that moves the vehicle comes from. But what if I tell you that it's not the engine of the car that is the most powerful part of the car, but the thing that gives the car direction, which is the steering wheel. So the steering wheel decides whether the car will be a vehicle to destination or a vehicle to destruction. Just as the steering wheel is to the car, that's how the tongue is to the body. Many people do not know how to use it to create the life of wealth, happiness, and fulfillment. I'll show you today how to use your tongue to create your life of wealth, happiness, and fulfillment in this video.
It's China. I'm an expert global business solutions expert and your real estate success strategist known as the mayor of Calgary.
So welcome to the recap of the live stream, where every week on Sundays by 6 p.m. GMT +1, we do a live stream and take on a topic that has to do with life, business, money, economy, or anything you choose. And for 1 hour every Sunday, I take 30 minutes to address the topic and 30 minutes to answer any questions, whether related to the topic or any other questions you would have loved to ask me in the comments below. And after that, I'll ask a question, and the 10 fastest fingers to answer that question correctly get to win 30,000 naira, because we are 30,000 subscribers on this channel. And by the time we get to 40,000 subscribers, you get to win 40,000 naira for 10 people every Sunday, because in this channel we are building the most educative and the most generous YouTube channel in Africa, where we want you to learn and earn. But because of how rowdy the live session is, after every Sunday we decide to recap the same topic, where we break it down in a cool, calm, and calculated environment to allow those that want to dig deep into the topic to learn better. Now, last topic was the power of the tongue, how your words can redesign your future and refine your destiny. And this topic was chosen by Charity Ekong, because when you join us live on Sundays, you also have the opportunity to choose a topic that I'll address for you live. And we are going to go right into this, which is the power of the tongue to make you rich, wealthy, and happy, or otherwise. So the tongue is one of the most powerful, most misused, and most wasted and underrated seed of creation, because it produces words, and words are the stuff with which our world was created in Hebrews 11:3. Also in Proverbs 8:21, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. So the fruit of the tongue can lead to death, the fruit of the tongue can lead to life. And just like I said earlier, as powerful as the engine of a car is, it is the steering wheel that is the most powerful. And so even the mighty vessels and ship, we have some cruise ships are almost 5 to 12 stories high, with almost a mini community on that ship. But as big as it is the steering wheel of the vessel connected to the tiny rudder that determines the direction of the vessel. And to show you how important that is, because the rudder of the Titanic could not make it change direction quick enough, it hit an iceberg and led to one of the greatest shipping tragedy of history. So that's how the tongue is. You can find that written in James 3:4-5. So words are not just words. Words an instrument of creation. But the power of words is different from word to word, depending on the word. So all words are not equal. There are words that are powerless and there are words that are powerful. And that's why you hear of the concept called power steering. Not all steerings are the same efficiency. So powerless words are those words that can effect no creative power. And P.T. Barnum will tell you that talk is cheap. And it's so cheap that even money can buy whiskey, but talk cannot. And talk becomes cheap only when it doesn't motivate action, by Dan Bongiorno. But powerful words are those words that are powerful enough to motivate action. And if you think that talk is cheap, you should get some legal advice according to Franklin P. Jones. And I say, speaking words makes them swords. And you either use that sword to sculpt something valuable or to strike at something and either build or destroy. And John Kettering said, no matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world and nothing else has. So to know the different power level of words, we have about 7 levels of word power because all words are not equal. The first level is the words you hear. They are the least powerful. The next level is the words you say. They are a bit powerful. The third level are words proclaimed on you. A bit powerful, but the power of words begin to take shape when you write them. So the fourth level of the power of words is what you write. Fifth level is words you repeat. The sixth level is words you keep. And finally, the ultimate level of the power of words are words you believe. And we're going to look at each of these powers and see what makes them powerful and how they exercise their power. Number one are the words you hear. Pay attention to how you hear. To those who listen to my teaching, more understanding will be given. Depending on how you hear, according to Luke 8:18, will determine what you glean from what you hear and the power you get from it. Because when you hear, you might hear in different ways, casually, without attention, and it might be powerless. But when you pay attention, what you hear begins to take shape. Because don't just pay attention, invest attention. And the best way to invest attention is through focus. Because Oprah Winfrey says, what you focus on expands. So the words you hear that you pay attention to and focus on begin to expand in the creative faculty of the mind. And before you know it, it will begin to influence what you think. And the greatest fable and power that all philosophers, sages over the generation have agreed on is that we become what we think about. So don't just hear only what you want to become, because words can form thoughts, and what you think, you become. And the Malcolm Gladwell's 1,000 hours of practice rule that says you become world class in anything you practice for 1 hour for 10,000 hours also applies to hearing. Anything you hear 10,000 times, you become. And Miles Monroe knows that one of the repetitive engines of what we hear is media. So he says media shapes our minds by acting as a powerful medium that feeds our soul. I'm talking about soul. The most important part of our soul is the part that incubates thoughts, beliefs, and action. So the right media can build us up, and the wrong media can destroy and corrupt us. And history has it. The greatest destructions ever befallen our recorded history of this world all come from what people heard. It was the words that were spoken by the serpent to Eve that led to the great fall, according to biblical accounts. It was Hitler's speech and effects on people that led to World War II. And recently there's been a resurgence of the effect in the Nepalese riots and upturn of a Nepalese government because of a schoolboy's speech in the mode of Hitler's speech. It was the speech of Martin Luther King Jr., the popular "I Have a Dream" speech that led to the abolishment of discrimination against people of color in America. It is the speech by the conservative right and the leftist media that has created a war within America, where America seems to be becoming America's greatest enemy. And it's not a war of swords, it's a war of words and media. So the three powerful tools of mind programming is the media, what we hear and see, the music, what we hear, and literature, what we read. So the power of a word is not in how loud it sounds, but in how deep it moves you and what it makes you do. So that's what the first power of word called the power of what we hear. Second degree of power of words is the power of what you say. You say it, you see it. And that's what makes affirmations very popular and very powerful, because affirmations that are most powerful must begin with the two words, I am. And these two words were made very powerful because in Exodus 3:13 and 14, God ascribed himself as I am. So I am is as powerful and as creative as God. So whatever you say after I am today, you become tomorrow. So one of the most creative words in the word is the word or the two words I am. So that's the part of what you say, especially what you say after I am. The third degree of the power of words is the words proclaimed on you. This is where curses, blessings, and prophecies get their power. And these three words proclaimed on you only become powerful even more depending on the emotions involved and the last degree of words involved, which is belief, and sometimes the actions that led to the curses, blessings, or prophecies, which is where words become most powerful. The fourth level of the degree of the power of words is what you write. Most words fly. They only perch when they are written. So writing allows the words to take shape and take a perching or pecking order. So there's an ancient Chinese proverb that says the faintest ink is better than the strongest memory. So words might fly away from memory, but they remain in books, scrolls, and paper once they are written down. And the life of what you think is when you write it. The nutrient that you feed what you have bettered from your thoughts to writing is what you say. So after thinking it, you've conceived it. Writing it, you birth it. Saying it, you nourish it with saying. And taking action on it, you create it by taking action consistently. So that's the power of words. We think in words, we speak in words, we write words, we act on words, and those words create whatever they are if we act on them repeatedly. So the power of what is written was also exhibited by one of the most iconic and powerful figures ever recorded in history that we Christians believe he is God. So God himself set an example for us through Jesus Christ, because 3 times Jesus Christ was tempted. 3 times he replied with one answer. It is written in Matthew 4:4, 7, 10, and 11. And when the devil found out that Jesus Christ knew what was written, or the words written, the Bible says the devil left him in Matthew 4:11. So if you know what is written, you conquer the devil. And my mentor, David Ibiome, puts it this way, that if you don't know what is written, you will be written off. So write it or lose it. Any word not written is a word lost. And the fifth degree of the power of words is the words you repeat. All these degrees of the words you hear, the words you say, the words that are proclaimed on you, and the words you write become almost powerless when there is no repetition of those words. Because Tony Robbins, one of the greatest human performance coaches ever, said, repetition is the mother of all skills. And I dare rephrase, repetition is the mother of all creation. Because the Malcolm Gladwell's theory of 10,000 hours of practice can also be applied to what we hear 10,000 times. We become what we repeat or say 10,000 times. We become the words we write 10,000 times will happen. And that takes us to the penultimate level of the power of words. Words you keep. All these degrees of power from 1 to 5 might become powerless if you don't keep to what is written. And that's number 6. The words you keep is doing what you said you will do. Because Carl Jung, one of the greatest sages of the 21st century, said, you are what you do, not what you say you will do. So saying I will is not as powerful as saying I did. And it is the repetition of I did that creates every ideal. So thoughts not expressed in action die. Actions expressed without thoughts are seedless. They might be sown, but they will not germinate. So it is purposeful, thoughtful actions that makes words and thoughts become creation. But the ultimate power of words are in the words you believe, because you need to believe it to receive it. Every of these words becomes butterflies and birds and grows feathers, flies away if you don't believe them. Because in Hebrews 4:2 he said, unto them was the gospel not profitable, because it was not mixed with faith. So without faith, words are useless. Without faith, words are profitless. But with faith, words become profitable. So words minus belief equals useless. Words plus belief equals sure outcome. And one of the modern books that have talked about the power of belief, all of this book, Think and Grow Rich, is all a book on one word, faith. And as we said, to buttress the importance of repetition in creation is that even faith itself is created through repetition. That's why in Romans 10:17, the Bible says, so then faith cometh by hearing and hearing. The repetition of hearing and hearing. So repeated hearing creates faith. And that's why the media is so powerful, because they can repeatedly bombard us with a propaganda that might be a false narrative, but when we hear them often, we wouldn't know when we subconsciously believe them. I'm talking about the subconscious. That's the engine of emotions and also the engine of creation. And before we go to the subconscious, let me first teach you the creation formula. With all these 7 powers of words, they'll be useless if you don't know how to use them, because you might believe the words, but if you don't know how to use the words, you won't create the reality of the words, except you know the creation formula. And the creation formula says words plus emotion plus motion equals reality. So once you are able to add emotion and motion to words, you make them a reality. One of the oldest quotes by one of the oldest Chinese sages that captured the creation journey of words, emotion, motion to reality is Lao Tzu, when he said, watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become action. Watch your action, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. And this shows you that whether you are deliberately creating or creating by default, creation is a must. The thoughts you don't consider might become words. The words you don't consider might become actions. The actions you don't consider might become habits. The habits you don't consider might become character. The character you don't consider might become your destiny you did not consider. So why not take advantage? Because this same chronology is the chronology of creation. First, you create the thoughts. Then from your thoughts, you turn them to words. Then your words, you turn them to action. Then your action, you turn them to habits through repetition. Then your habits, you turn to character through fortification. And then your character, you turn to your destiny through being true to those character. So you can now deliberately create anything using these steps of creation. Create the thought of that thing. For instance, you want to create this bike. You first of all create this bike in your thoughts, then begin to speak this bike in your words, then begin to do this bike in your actions. Then you begin to do this bike in your habits. Create this bike from taking your habits to the character, and then your character will turn this bike into a reality. And that's the creation formula and chronology in action. But simply remember, the formula says words plus emotion and motion creates reality. And one of the people that touched on this is Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou said, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. So even when you turn words to action, if there's no emotion, it might not stick. And the most powerful emotions that you can add to words to make them powerful are these 7 emotions. Number 1 is meaning. One of the most powerful effects or emotions that give words power is meaning. If in your dialect, idiot means king, and I call you an idiot, probably say thank you very much. But if in your dialect, idiot means idiot, and I call you an idiot, you say, are you okay? Are you mad? How dare you? So the meaning you give to words might create the power that words will have. If somebody says you're a fool and you take it as a statement, the meaning you give to that statement might be different. But if somebody says you're a fool and you take it as an opinion, the person is entitled to their opinion, and you might take it as a false opinion. The meaning you get to that is different. But if somebody says you're a fool and you take it as derangement, the meaning you give to that absolutely be different. If a deranged man calls you a fool, you actually pity him and laugh. So it depends on the meaning you give to that word. The second is anger. Words become very powerful when they are either fueled by anger or received with anger or provoke anger in people. It is the anger that the words of Hitler provoked in people that led to the greatest recorded cruelty to human called the Holocaust, and led to the World War II. So anger is a very powerful emotion. The third is resolve. Whatever words that can create the emotion of resolve. Resolve is when you have that do or die emotion that says I'll do it, or it is the words that inspire or that are motivated by resolve, or the words that create a resolve in people, or the words that are added with resolve that make them very powerful. The fourth we've spoken about already, words that are combined with the emotion of belief. whatever you believe becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because Napoleon Hill once said, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it will achieve. So this is the power you give to words, whatever words you believe. And to rephrase Napoleon Hill's quote, whatever words you conceive and believe, you can achieve. And the fifth emotion that is very powerful when combined with words to make them powerful is excitement. Whatever words create excitement can move people to all kinds of action. Number 6 is love. Of course, love is so powerful that God himself calls himself love. And with God, all things are possible. With love, all things are possible. So words joined with love become unstoppable. And the final emotion is respect. When a respected person says something, the effect of that thing he said or that word he pronounced is exponentially more powerful than when a person without respect, a deranged bunkum, says something. So these 7 emotions, meaning, anger, resolve, belief, excitement, love, and respect, when combined with words, makes those words very powerful. But emotion alone is not enough to create what you want to create. When you add them to words, you also have to add motion. And that's why action is the most powerful addition to words, because when words get or precipitate or provoke motion, those words begin the creation locomotive. So in terms of motions, Tony Robbins also tied how you can create both motion and emotion in one same thing by saying emotion is created by motion. So many people think that motion is created by emotion only, but it's also reversible, and that's called the law of reversibility, that says if you don't feel like doing it and you start doing it, you start feeling it. And if you feel it, you can do it. And if you do it, you can feel it. So they are both reversible, the motion and emotion. And one of the greatest motion and the first P of the formula of success is passion. And passion is simply love in unstoppable motion. If it is not moving you, it's not passion. If anything can stop you, it's not passion. So emotion of passion is very strong for you to achieve anything you set your mind to achieve. And the most powerful, 7 most powerful emotions to add to words to make them real and inevitable is number 1, the emotion of thinking. Don't just think passively, think actively. One of the greatest active thinking is called brainstorming. Another one of the greatest active thinking is called meditation. Another one of the greatest active thinking is called ideation. These 3 things, ideation, meditation, and brainstorming, have created almost everything on earth we can see today, because everything around you came from an idea. And thinking is how ideas are received or drawn from the supernatural intelligence of the universe or God or the heavens or wherever ideas come from. So you receive and pull those ideas through active thinking. And thinking is not a joke. It's a lot of motion. That Henry Ford said, thinking is hard work. And that's why very few people do it. The next motion that makes words very powerful is the motion of writing. When you write, it's better you use a physical writing means. When you dictate something for someone else to write without you moving or having the motion of writing, and when you handwrite them yourself, handwriting them is more powerful because there's a psychomotor creation that creates and makes those words a bit more indelible when you write them yourself. And that's why my mentor Jim Rohn will tell you one of the most creative habits of creation is journaling. When you have to do your thinking and do your writing on a piece of paper, you exponentially increase the power of the creation of what you have written. The number 3 movement is speaking. Of course, you can notice that speaking is so powerful towards that. All of YouTube, all of the radio, all of the TV, most of the media, is just from the motion of speaking. And these words are so powerful that they can move a generation. That's why someone like the late Charlie Kirk was a legend and a martyr, because he was able to add the motion of speaking to words and made his words so powerful they galvanized America to a turning point, and his words resonate even after his death and are still powerful and affecting lives today. The fourth emotion is planning. After you have thought it, written it, spoken it, you have to move into planning. The movement of planning begins to galvanize the creation process and begin to give creation more clarity and more probability from planning. Because Brian Tracy will say, proper prior planning prevents poor performance. The 6P formula. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. And I can change the last P to creation. Proper prior planning prevents poor creation, because we are creating whether we deliberately create or not, or create by default. So why not take advantage and deliberately create and deliberately plan what you want to create? With all your planning, there's no plan that is as good as an execution, because the part of the plan is in the execution. So the fifth motion you add to words is doing. After the thinking, the writing, the speaking, and the planning, you have to get to the doing of the word to make it more powerful. This is where the rubber meets the road, because actions are the greatest active verb of motion. Thinking is motion, but it's not as strong as action. Motion, it's an action, but it's not as strong as the action of actually doing the things written. Speaking is an action, but it's not as powerful as doing the thing being spoken. Planning is an action, but it's not as important as actually doing the thing being planned for. But it is the execution in doing that makes all these actions come together in the creative engine. And the final part of the puzzle that actually leads to the actual creation is the sixth motion you add to words, which is repeating. After you've done it, don't do it once. Do it over and over again. Because I have a quote that says, once might be an accident, twice might be coincidence, or thrice is deliberately intentional. So you're intentional when you repeat your actions until the creation is made. And the magic word there is until, because if you repeat once or twice or thrice, it might not happen. But if you repeat until, it will happen definitely. And one of the greatest people that have used this motion of words to create one of the greatest inventions that I hardly do any video without talking about him, because he's the greatest failure that has ever lived, and he has milked more success from failure than any other human being ever recorded in history, because he's the highest failure in recorded history and the highest repetitor in recorded history. And that's Thomas Edison. When he wanted to create the magic of the light bulb, what did he do? He started thinking of how electricity can be turned to light. From his thinking, he started writing all the possible formulas of how to turn electricity to light. From his writing, he started speaking to his colleagues and friends and making presentations on how electricity can be turned to light. From the speaking, he started planning on how he can turn electricity to light. From the planning, he started doing. And from the doing, he started repeating. That he was repeating and refining his experiment for 10,000 times before he succeeded to create the light bulb. And one of the hidden ingredients of repeating that makes it exceptionally powerful is the last motion you add to repeating, which is searching. Repeating the same thing while expecting a different result or outcome is what Albert Einstein calls insanity. So it is this last searching. When you do once, You search what did you do and what can improve your doing and refine your doing and do again. And with each repetition and refinement, you are closer to the creation. And if you keep searching for how to make every repetition better, more efficient, more refined, you are surely going to create if you have the tenacity to keep repeating until you create. So the single goal and ultimate power of all these words that I have been giving to you in the last 30 minutes, all the words, all the processes, all the emotions, all the motion is one thing: your subconscious. Remember I told you I'm going to tell you about the subconscious. Every word that enters into your subconscious ends up being created. The creative faculty of the human mind is not the conscious mind, but the subconscious mind. And L. Nightingale says, whatever we plant in our subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become a reality. You can see how he has brought together everything I have told you about repetition, about motion, about emotion, and all that is just to get that to stimulate and get those words planted into your subconscious mind. And Joseph Murphy put it in a clearer, shorter way by saying, every desire impressed on the subconscious mind must come to pass. So every word impressed on the subconscious mind must come to pass. It is men that are able to impress words into their own subconscious mind or the subconscious mind of others that leads to the greatest movements and creations in life. So the single skill to get anything impressed in your subconscious mind is just the single skill of repetition. And that's why Tony Robbins says repetition is the mother of all skills. And I dare rephrase that: repetition is the mother of all creation. So it's not repetition of silence, but the repetition of words that are laden with emotion and motion. And the congruence that creates our worlds. There's a congruence that these three must align for you to create the world through words. And that's the congruence of what you think, what you say, and what you do. And Mahatma Gandhi calls that creative process the process of creating happiness. Because if you remember, the only essence of creation is happiness, and the greatest creation in creation is happiness. So he said that happiness, and I put in bracket creation, is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. So when you align what you are thinking with what you are saying and doing, you align the engine of creation. So for you to create it, all you need to do is think it, say it, do it, and repeat 1 to 3 until you see it. So think it again, say it again, do it again, think it again, say it again, do it again until you see it. So don't say what you are not thinking. If you're thinking of love, don't say hatred. Incongruence. As congruence creates creation, incongruence destroys creation. So when what you are thinking is different from what you are saying and different from what you're doing, not only do you lack integrity, you lack power, because it is the alignment of these three that is the core of integrity. Integrity, men of and women of integrity are those who say what they think and do what they say. And what they are saying, what they are doing, and what they are thinking are always the same. And they are an integer. Sameness or singleness is called an integer in maths. And the word integrity comes from integer. So don't think what you won't say. If it's not worthy to be spoken, then don't think it. Sometimes we find our mind traveling with heinous things that we know we can't say. If I know I can't tell you you are ugly, then I shouldn't think you are ugly. If I know I can't tell you I hate you, I shouldn't think I hate you. If I know I can't tell you I'll kill you, I shouldn't think I'll kill you. If I know I can't say I am angry, then I shouldn't think it. So don't think what you won't say, and then don't say what you don't want to see. This is most important, because Most of the things we see, but we don't see them the same day. And because the law of gestation takes a while to birth, we forget that the single seed of the mustard seed today will turn into the mighty tree that will house 1,000 birds. So some of the words we said a donkey years ago have created what we are seeing today. So instead of saying what is happening, instead of saying what you feel, instead of saying what you don't want, why not say what you want? Why not say what you want to see? And why not say what you expect? If you are not strong and you're expecting to be strong, when people ask you how are you, don't say I am not strong. Say I am gonna get strong soon. Saying I'll get strong soon is different from saying I'm not strong. And saying I'm getting stronger is different from getting strong soon. So when you choose your words, you choose your creation, and you choose what you're going to see tomorrow. And don't say what you don't want to do. Words become powerful when people know that you only say what you will do. If I say I'm going to slap you and I slap you tomorrow, if I say I'm going to slap you, take off. But if I say I'm going to slap you and I don't slap you tomorrow, when I say I'm going to slap you, you might say, chee-hoo. So don't say what you don't want to do, and then once you say it, keep it by doing it, and don't do anything you haven't thought through. Because actions without thoughts lead to regretful, seedless action. They only yield regret. So most actions that lead to regret are the actions that have not been thought through. So think it. Make sure it always starts with a thought. It's always a thought. Creation was thought out. Creation is the thought of God. Creation was God thinking and saying and seeing what he was thinking. So don't repeat in action what you don't want to create, because one of the most creative powers of words is action. But when you do it once, remember I said once is a mistake, twice might be a coincidence, but 3 times is definitely deliberate. And the best way to live life is by deliberate creation. So once you do something you don't like, ensure you don't repeat it again, because repetition will create that thing you don't like. And Ian Fleming put that my quote in another way, assuming it's a negative action or crime. That once is a happenstance, twice is a coincidence, but 3 times is enemy action. So once your enemy slap you once, it might be a happenstance. They slap you twice, it might be a coincidence, but they slap you 3 times, they are definitely an enemy. And that's what I've been telling you all the while, that once might be an accident, twice may seem coincidence, but thrice, that's definitely deliberate. So the greatest life hack after 40 minutes of speaking to you is one thing. Write this down. Live deliberately. So for you to live deliberately, you have to deliberately choose what you think, deliberately choose what you say, deliberately choose what you write, deliberately choose what you hear, deliberately choose what you do, deliberately choose the actions you repeat, and then you create those things. Because it's either you rule life deliberately with your tongue, or your tongue rules you through life. I see the tongue like a leash that is pulling us through life. When you leash your tongue to the right direction, your tongue will pull your life through the right direction. But when you leash your tongue to the wrong direction, your tongue will pull you through life in the wrong direction. And what's still for most people, they leash their tongue to everything and not all things, and their life is scattered in all directions. So the tongue is what will lead you to the destination you are going. Even though your body is the vehicle that will take you there, your brain is the engine that is powering this powerful vehicle. But your tongue is the rudder and the steering that will steer all this to the direction the tongue is moving. And one of the best ways to deliberately steer this tongue towards the direction you want is your words. Listening to your words makes us know who you are and where you are going. If you're going in the wrong direction, your words will begin already to say where you are going. And that's why one of the things that investigators look out for when there is a crime is what was this person saying a few months to the crime. The person that unalived Charlie Kirk in America, he had to speak to his parents to analyze his words, and they said he started speaking radical words even before the radical action. So over to your tongue, because your destiny is not cast on stone. Your destiny is cast on your tongue, and the words your tongue produce will lead you to your destiny. If you want to get to the top, have a top tongue that speaks only top words. Over to your tongue, and I'll see you where your tongue steers you to. Thank you. So in this channel, we are building the most educative and the most generous channel in Africa. And with all we have to give in knowledge and in money, if more people don't know about this channel, we'll keep our money and very few people will get the knowledge. So why don't you hit the subscribe button and share this video for more people to come have the learning. And it's so intriguing. It's so fascinating and somewhat mysterious how nature tends to hide from humans the secret to mastery, the secret to success, and the secrets of nature that are so obvious, yet many of us obviously miss it, even when it's obvious to the naked eyes. Because one of the greatest obvious powers of creation that has been given to man is how the world was created. The world was created with words, and the world will be destroyed with words. Words can build words or destroy worlds. And it is shocking how much power negative words have and how much power positive words have when they are mixed with emotion. At the birth of civilization, one of the greatest show of sophistication and civilization is the civility, the prowess, the finesse, and the fineness of one's words. It is the words that came out of your mouth that showed if you were a perfect gentleman or a thoroughbred, prim and proper lady. But gradually, we began to lose the backbone of our words by saying things that we don't mean, and saying things we don't do, and saying things that provoke the wrong feelings or the negative feelings, because emotions are energy motion, and positive emotions are positive energies that create. Negative emotions and negative energies that destroy. And that's why one of the most creative emotions in the world is love and faith. And the words that inspire love and faith are so powerful. And one of the most destructive negative emotions in the world is sadness and depression. And that's why even sadness and depression leads to the very death of the people that are the custodians of words in suicide. So words are not just words. Words become powerful when they are backed with powerful thoughts. They become powerful when they are backed with or provoke or evoke powerful emotions. They become powerful when they are backed with powerful action. I can go on and on trying to use words to show the power of words, because the only thing that can show how powerful words are words. But one thing makes all words most powerful or most useless: the words we keep. Keeping your word not only makes your word powerful, keeping your word makes you powerful. And then keeping your negative words makes you destructively powerful, and sometimes is self-destructive and most destructive to you, and can either end your life in prison or in the cemetery. Those that have threatened to keep their negative words can tell you that if you go to the cemetery or the prison, where they can testify to what they thought about a negative thing, said the negative thing, and kept to doing the negative thing. But the most powerful words ever spoken in history that moved the whole of nations and the world through the words and the speeches of Winston Churchill, through the words and speeches of Martin Luther King Jr., through the words and speeches of Jesus Christ. We tell you that words filled with positive emotions, that the speaker not only said with passion and emotion, but dared keep their words, are still resonating and reverberating in the echelons of eternity. And that's why Jesus said, heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. And I dare tell you, you are not who you say you are. You are what you say. We know you from the kind of words that come out from you, because you are your heart, and out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. And he that is matured enough to not only speak from his heart, but keep what you said with heart and from your heart, you are most unstoppable, powerful, and eternal. So we might pass away, but our words will not pass away. So why not use your words to craft a beautiful future, beautiful creation called you, that you not only say with meaning and emotions, but you keep it with determination, action, and relentless repetition. Let's dare to make this world a better place just by what we say. Because if we speak words of love, words of productivity, words of enjoyment, words of encouragement, words of resolve, words of civility, clean, sweet, inspiring words that will not only inspire our hearers, but they will echo around the world, and with repetition, they will create a world where those words are true. But it all boils down to you. Whether your words destroy the world or destroy others is not as important as you, because your words make or mar you. Don't mar you with your words. Dare to make you with your words. The conclusion of the matter is your tongue. But all the words I've said will mean nothing except you believe them. If you believe them, go begin speaking your dream life into reality. If you don't believe them, continue on the life you've been living. And I wish you well. So in essence, your words will make your life hard or your life easy. To see how to live the easy life using other means in addition to your tongue, click on the video above and I'll see you on the other side.
Hey, Lele, it is super duper amazing that you found my content valuable enough for you to watch till the end. Only 5% of exceptional people do that. You're exceptional, and I deeply love and appreciate you. Hey, Lele, don't just watch to learn, watch to take action. And the first action is subscribe and hit the notification button so you don't miss any of our daily value action. Remember, only doers are winners.